Folks, we all know that you don't have to answer the door just because the police are knocking on your door. You don't have to answer the door because anybody's knocking on the door. However, if the police have a warrant, you might want to reconsider because you've seen this on TV. They have big battering rams, and if they have a warrant, they're going to just plow their way into your house. It's going to be very dramatic, like what you've seen on TV, and it doesn't go well for the people inside the house if the cops actually have a warrant and you don't answer the door. But let's talk about the recent case of State v. Times. This case just came down recently, and Times was arrested for drug trafficking and a lot of amphetamines. And what happened was the cops drafted a warrant, went to a judge and said, I think there's boatloads of drugs inside of Times's home, and we'd like to get in there. And the judge signed the warrant and said, okay, go on in. Here's your search warrant. Cops show up at Times' front door. Knock, knock, knock. We're the police. Come to the front door. Knock, knock, knock. We're the police. Come to the front door. Nobody answers. They get the battering ram, and with all the drama and flair of a battering ram and a bunch of cops, they barge down the front door. And about 2 seconds before they barge down the front door, they announce, we've got a warrant. Clear away from the door for your safety. Times goes to the trial court, the judge, and says, this was illegal. Sure, they had a warrant. Sure, the warrant was legal, but they didn't follow the rules on going into a house. Now, this is important. We have a statute called 933.09, and there's another one for arrest warrants. And these say the same thing. They're called knock and announce laws. And that means just because the government has a warrant doesn't mean they get to barge down your door in some dramatic fashion. And just because the government has a warrant doesn't mean they can just knock on your door and say, hi, we're the police. The law in Florida says they actually have to knock and announce their purpose. They must do those two things. And third, they must wait for the homeowner's response, right? And if you don't wait for the response, or if you don't announce your purpose and all you do is say you're the cops, well, then you violated the knock and announce statute found in 933.09. One big question is, okay, so we didn't announce that we had a warrant. We told Times we're the cops, come to the front door. We told them this a couple times. Well, not good enough, folks. The appellate court threw out all the trafficking and drugs and the cocaine and the gun, everything, threw it all out. Case dismissed against Times because the police violated the knock and announce statute. Now, the state complained, well, this is a little harsh of a penalty because we did get a signed warrant. The warrant was legit, and the cops did announce that they were cops. But the Times court said, yeah, but you didn't announce your purpose, and that's a big part, and you got to give them time to actually respond. And you didn't do any of that. And what the court said was pretty interesting. And this is a great summary of the law. I'll read to you what the court said. Look what happened here. The body cameras bared out that the officers first knocked on the door and said nothing. Nobody's required to answer the door just because somebody knocks on it. Then, on 2 separate times, just a couple seconds apart, the cops did announce police officers or police department come to the door. The court said, again, there is no requirement that you answer the door just because the police are at your door. And we've said that till we're blue in the face. However, just as they were barging down the door, they said, step away from the door, we have a warrant. Now, that statement actually complies with the law. Had they just added that 30 seconds ago, we wouldn't be talking about the case, and Times would be facing a trafficking charge. But they didn't. They didn't announce it until they were barging in the door, and the court finds, as many courts do, when officers knock and announce their authority and purpose, and then enter with such haste that the occupant does not have a reasonable opportunity to respond, those officers have violated Florida statute 933.09. They have violated the knock and announce statute. Folks, it is not enough to have a warrant. It is not enough for the police to knock on your door. It is not enough for the police with the warrant to knock on the door and say, we're the police, come to the door. They have to also announce their purpose. They have to also give the homeowners enough time to answer and respond to them. Notice what is happening here. What is happening here is boatloads of respect for the home. This knock and announce statute is nothing new. There's another statute, 901.19, is the same thing for arrests, right? Arrest warrants. They can come in for an arrest warrant too. Same thing, not going to announce statutes. These things have been around for over a century, folks. For over a century, if you want to get in a house and you've got a warrant, these are the rules to follow. And if you violate them, everything they find inside that house is kicked out. The case is over. Times' case, his drug trafficking, his possession of cocaine, his possession of a firearm, all of it dismissed, all of it gone. They didn't follow the rules when they entered the house.